Hey guys, Dr. Joe Rangel, the bodybuilding PhD. Man, been a minute. I was traveling around the country for about a month, and I came back immediately and started moving my residences, and also my hours at work doubled. So yeah, it's been crazy around here, but I've really been itching to get back on here and talk to you guys. So from my new living room, which is a total wreck right now, and I don't have any type of studio lighting or anything set up, I'm hoping that the content will exceed the production value. So we've been talking about masculinity, and we were talking about anxiety. And if you recall, the thing we were talking about anxiety is how thought creates emotion, and emotion circles back and creates thought, and it creates this horrible cycle, right? And that sends you down the rabbit hole. And we want to figure out what to do about that. And the first thing we were talking about was, if you're triggered, to tell yourself that you're triggered, to acknowledge the fact that your brain is telling you stories, right? So the anxiety starts and it's, I'm triggered, right? Or stop being a dumbass, or whatever little mantra you have for yourself that helps you to remember that the anxiety that you're feeling may not necessarily be grounded in reality, or maybe exacerbated, maybe made worse, right, by your brain lying to you and trying to be a dick. And that doesn't necessarily stop it, but what it will do is at least give you a frame of reference from what to work with, so that you can say, okay, maybe this isn't really what I think is what's going on here. So once we've done that, once we've accomplished that, we've been able to step back from the cycle. It's not going to change the feelings. It's not going to change what's going on, but now you can observe them, right, as opposed to feel them. There's a couple places we can go from here. There's a lot of techniques out there, and if you have any type of generalized anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder, guys, or anxious attachment, and you've sought actual treatment for it, or you've maybe looked online, done some self-help, you're probably familiar with techniques called grounding or mindfulness techniques, right? Your therapist may have made you do things like name 5 things that are blue around you, or tapping, or doing things with your fingers, or tapping your leg, those kind of things. All that stuff is great. What all of that is for is to bring you into the moment. Is to bring you right now, into right now, get you out of that cycle that you're spinning around in, and put you right here in the moment. When you're focusing on counting the taps and those kind of things, you're thinking about this, right? And it stops your brain from going around in circles. And when you're trying to name things that are blue around you, it stops you from that. One technique in that realm that I like to use is called embodiment, and it's about getting the mind out of the head and into the body. So that's why I like to work out, I like to exercise, do those things, because it's hard to focus on that spinning cycle when you're busy with bench pressing and those things. Get you out of your head. All great stuff. But I want to take it from a different point of view. Instead of trying to minimize the feeling of the anxiety, because you're not always going to be able to do that, we are going to learn to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is, you're never going to stop the triggers from happening. I mean, maybe you will. I hope you do. But the chances are you're not. Even if you get really, really good and the triggers stop coming as much as they did, it's still going to happen at least one more time in your life, right? And you have to be able to manage them so that you can respond instead of react. You have to be able to deal with them properly so you don't fly off the handle and ruin a relationship, right? Because the idea of being masculine, respond instead of react, is that you have control of this stuff. So we need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. How are we going to do that? Well, first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go to a technique. It's proprietary to an author named GS Youngblood. So I got to make sure I give him credit for this. And I'm going to use the word meditation here, okay? Don't freak out on me. We're not going to be sitting on the floor humming or doing any of that kind of stuff. But here's what I want you to do. This is his technique that he created, and I love it. It's called provocative meditation. And if you want to read more about it, I really suggest you look up his books and his audio books, and you hear it from the man himself. But here's the idea: you're going to eke out some time when you can be by yourself and you're going to get comfortable. You don't have to sit on the floor. You don't have to get cross-legged like candles or any of that crap. Just get comfortable somewhere. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get you out of the future and the past and all the anxiety and stuff. We want to get right now. So just, we're going to clear the mind and we're going to get right here. Okay. And once you've got all that noise quiet in your head, I want you to think of something that will actually trigger you. Okay. I would prefer you thought of something that wasn't real, something that didn't actually happen in your life, not like an actual memory. And there's a reason why for that. I would prefer you created one of those situations that your brain likes to create. Go ahead, call it up. Think about it, focus on it. And instead of doing what is so natural to do to try and fight it off, I want you to fan the flames. I want you to dive into that little personal nightmare of yours and fan the flames. And what you're going to do is purposely induce a low-key trigger in yourself. You're going to bring up those unpleasant feelings. You're going to bring up those emotions. You're going to bring up those fears. You're going to bring up all that stuff, and you're not going to fight it. You're not going to go through your steps yet and say, is this true? Does it have to be true? Can I make it a good thing? We're not doing any of that. You're not going to start tapping. You're not going to do anything. You're going to let it happen. And once you've got it called up, and once you've got yourself with those negative feelings going on inside your body, you're going to focus on them for a second. You're going to focus on, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? And where do I feel it in my body? Once we've got that going on, tell yourself, I'm triggered. This is probably not real. In this case, it really isn't real, right? This is probably not real. Back your mind out of it so that the emotions are there, you still feel them. Find where it's at in your body, the physical sensation. For me, it's always right here. I feel it right here. All right, wherever you find it, whether it's tension up here, you feel it right here, it's behind the eyes, wherever you feel it in your body, tingling, numbness in the hands, find the feeling, find the emotion. Now start working to manage it. Now start working to deal with it. Step back from it. I'm triggered. Is this true? Does it have to be true? Am I just being crazy right now? The breathing deep in and stuff to try and cleanse. For me, the breathing really helps. We're not going to do any embodiment. We're not getting up and moving around. We're just going to sit with our anxiety and our discomfort a while. Then after about 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes later, as you get better at this, we're going to go ahead and let it dissipate. The reason we use something that wasn't real is because we can let it dissipate, because it's not real, right? If you're calling up an actual memory of something that happens, it's harder to get rid of it, right? Let it dissipate. Let it go away. What you're doing when you're doing this, it's just like going to the gym and lifting weights. You're putting yourself under some stress to get stronger. You're building your psychological resilience. You are learning to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because here's the deal. When your feminine partner starts screaming at you, or she shuts down, or she's not, or that text message didn't sound right to you, or any of those things that normally will spark that anxiety response in you, right? Or if it's something legitimate, right? You just lost your job, or your boss is yelling at you, or something like that. Whatever would normally spark that anxiety response in you. When you're actually there, I'll say in combat, when your boots are on the ground and you're actually there, it's a lot harder to live and deal with the anxiety. And it's a lot more likely you're just going to bam and react right away. And that reaction is going to be what gets you in trouble, either in the relationship or at work or with your friends. If you learn to recognize, hey, these are the sensations of me being triggered. These are the sensations of anxiety. I can live with this. I can do this. It sucks. I hate it. I don't like it, but I can manage. I can be calm, and I can formulate my measured response. The more you expose yourself to this feeling and dealing with it, and getting through it and thinking like a rational human being while you have the feeling going on, the better you're going to get at it. So yes, every morning I actually purposely engage in triggering myself so that I can get better at dealing with it when it happens during the day. Okay. In this way, you will be able to eventually build up so that when the real triggers happen, you go, oh, I recognize this feeling. It sucks. I don't like it. I'll step back from it. Find a formulated, grounded response, and we can move through this. And eventually that feeling will go away. Okay? Provocative meditation, GS Youngblood. Look it up. See what you think. All right, guys. That's your tip today. We're going to keep working on respond over react until we've completed our whole Masculinity Triad, and we'll get some other stuff out for you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube, because that's where a lot of my videos are going now. Don't forget to subscribe to my TikTok for as long as TikTok still exists, and find me on Instagram, Dr. Joe Wrangle. All right, guys, love you, Dr. Joe Wrangle, the bodybuilding PhD. Stay unbreakable.